The family downstairs never turns on their heating in the winter. Their home is 28 degrees, while mine is 18 degrees. I went to confront them, and his wife held a homie melon and laughed at me for being foolish. Your heating is strong, and heat rises upwards. What's wrong with us benefiting a little? I was shaking with anger. Fine, I'll let you benefit. I turned off the heating directly and went to Sonia overnight. Half a month later, my neighbor's phone calls were blowing up, crying that all his water pipes had frozen and burst. When the phone rang, I was wearing sunglasses, lying on a beach chair at Haitang Bay in Sonia. The name Zhang Wei on the phone screen buzzed like a fly, disrupting the serene beauty of the sea and sky before me. I slowly took a sip of the cool coconut water before swiping to answer the call. Lin Wan, are you fucking insane? Zhang Wei's roar pierced through the receiver, carrying a hoarse, frantic tone. Like a mad dog whose tail had been stepped on, I held the phone a little farther away, not wanting that foul voice to pollute my ears. The sea breeze brushed against my cheeks, carrying a salty, damp, and warm scent. I calmly asked, is something wrong? Why did you turn off the heater? You did it on purpose, didn't you? His accusation made no sense, like a 3-year-old throwing a tantrum. I adjusted my sunglasses and looked at the crowd playing in the distance, my tone betraying no emotion. My house, my heating, I can turn it off whenever I want. You, Zhang Wei seemed choked by my calm response, and heavy breathing came from the other end of the phone. A few seconds later, he started screaming even more hysterically. My pipes are all frozen and burst, all of them, the floor, the furniture, my brand new 80-inch TV, everything is completely ruined. Do you have any idea how much money we've lost? Can you even afford to pay for it? Oh, I felt no emotion inside. Even a hint of cold satisfaction. I let out a light laugh, so faint, yet like a needle, precisely piercing the bubble of his fury. Is that so? Don't you have the heating on at your place? That's really unfortunate. After saying that, I didn't give him any chance to roar again. With a light tap of my fingertip, I hung up and blocked him. The whole world instantly became quiet. Palm trees cast their shadows, the water is clear, and the sand is white. These past 2 weeks in Sonia, each day felt like it was snatched back from a stolen life. I closed my eyes, but that familiar sense of suffocation still surged up from the depths of my memory. Just half a month ago, my home was still a massive ice cellar. I'm clearly paying the highest heating fee in the entire residential complex, yet the needle on my home thermometer stubbornly stays at 18 degrees. During winter at home, I have to wear thick coral fleece pajamas, step into plush slippers, and even hold a hot water bottle in my arms. Even so, the chill still seeps in faintly from the soles of my feet, freezing me to the bone. Yet the Zhang Wei family living downstairs seems to be in a completely different season. His wife, Luan, almost daily flaunts her life in the homeowners group in various creative ways. One day, she posts a photo of her son playing on a playmat while wearing a short-sleeved vest. The next day, she shares a picture of a plate of freshly cut chilled watermelon, with the caption, "The heating is too strong, need something cool to beat the heat." Between the lines, she subtly hints at having secret money-saving tips, attracting a group of neighbors who love to take advantage of small benefits. At first, I just thought it was strange. I even started to doubt myself, wondering if there was something wrong with my apartment's layout and orientation, or if the windows weren't sealed properly. Until one time, I accidentally saw Luan replying to someone in the group chat, "Heating bills are so expensive, isn't paying for that just being a total sucker? As long as the upstairs turns on the heat, doesn't the warmth travel downward? We're right below, catching it all. It's quite cozy." That statement struck me like a bolt of lightning, instantly clearing away all my confusion. A flame of anger instantly ignited from the depths of my heart. I bought an infrared thermometer and measured my floor. It was 18 degrees, once again, aiming at the position of Zhang Wei's ceiling downstairs, which is the other side of my floor. 26 degrees, a full 8 degrees of temperature difference. The evidence is conclusive. All my efforts have become nourishment for that shameless vampire family downstairs. They comfortably feed on my flesh and blood, while mocking me as a grown-up giant baby who doesn't understand life. That day, I went to the property management with the photo of the thermometer. The property manager looked troubled and used vague words like neighbors should be more tolerant of each other. Suppressing my anger, I knocked on Zhang Wei's door again. The door was opened by Luan, who was holding half of a large homie melon and eating it with a spoon. When she saw me, there wasn't a trace of guilt on her face. Instead, she wore a smile as if looking at a fool. "Your heating is strong, and the warmth travels downward. What's wrong with us benefiting a little?" She spoke with righteous indignation, the corner of her mouth still glistening with melon juice. At that moment, all the blood in my body rushed to my head, and I was trembling with anger. "Fine, I'll let you take advantage." After leaving his house, I returned to my own home without saying a word. I walked into the storage room and found the dusty main heating valve. Without a moment's hesitation, I used all my strength to turn it 180 degrees. The valve made a dull thud sound, like a silent approval of my action. The radiators in the house rapidly cooled down at a speed visible to the naked eye. That familiar chill enveloped me once again, yet I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. It was the thrill of revenge, the freedom of breaking free from shackles. I opened my phone and booked a flight to Sanya for that very night. While packing my bags, I even hummed a tune, now. Lying on the warm beach, I recall Zhang Wei's helpless, furious roar over the phone. I know his winter has only just begun. At 1001 hashtag, after I blocked him, Zhang Wei clearly didn't let it go. In less than a minute, another unfamiliar number called in. I guessed it was Lu Wan. When I answered, it was indeed her sharp, tearful voice. Lin Wan, how could you be so cruel? You've destroyed our family. As soon as she started, she put a moral high hat on me. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. So I threw her words right back at her without changing a single one. When you were holding that homie melon, standing at the door and laughing at me for being foolish, why didn't you mention the neighborly bond then? I'm paying real money for the heating, and you're downstairs enjoying the 28-degree warmth for free, yet you still have the nerve to mock me. The paying customer, tell me, whose heart is truly colder. My voice was icy, devoid of any emotion, like the harshest midday sun in Sanya, leaving her with nowhere to hide. On the other end of the line, Lu Wan clearly choked up, her sobbing pausing for a moment. Then, she launched into the second act of her performance, throwing a tantrum. You're just jealous that our family has a husband and children, and we're happy, you, an old maid who can't get married, are envious of our good life and deliberately trying to harm us. This logic is truly touching. I almost laughed in anger at her. What am I jealous of you for? Jealous that you have a husband who doesn't pay the heating bill, or jealous that you have a son who wears short sleeves and eats ice pops? Don't flatter yourself. That makeshift arrangement you call a life isn't even worth my attention, you. Lu Wan was left speechless by my retort and could only let out a meaningless shriek. Just then, another call came through. It was the property manager. I hung up on Lu Wan's call and answered the one from the property management. Miss Lin, would it be possible for you to come back right now? The property manager's tone was anxious, even carrying a hint of pleading. Mr. Zhang's apartment downstairs is leaking very badly, and the water has already seeped into Uncle Wang's unit below his. You need to come back and deal with this immediately. I picked up the coconut and took another sip. Handle what? The heating valve in my home is shut tight. Not a single drop of water has leaked. If someone else's home is leaking, you should go talk to them. Isn't that basic property management knowledge? But Mr. Zhang said it was because you turned off the heating that his pipes froze and burst. Oh, I replied slowly. So he's saying I'm obligated to provide heating for his home 24/7 to keep his pipes safe. Am I the heating company or his mother? Is that written in the property management handbook? Besides, I'm currently on vacation in Sanya, thousands of kilometers away. The flights and hotel are already booked. You expect me to just go back? Are you going to reimburse me for the return flight tickets? A series of rhetorical questions left the property manager speechless. He hemmed and hawed for a long time, unable to utter a single word. Miss Lin, that's not what we meant. Then what did you mean? Don't come to me. I've done all I can. Go find the owner who's causing the leak, have them immediately stop infringing on the downstairs neighbor's rights, and take on all the compensation responsibilities. That's your duty as the property management. I directly passed the buck back to them and then hung up the phone. I knew the property management wouldn't dare offend me. Now they had no choice but to go find Zhang Wei. And Zhang Wei was about to face more than just the property management's reminders. He also had to deal with the real tough customer downstairs, Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang had only moved in last year. Before retiring, he was the legal director of a large state-owned enterprise, having spent his entire career dealing with contracts and clauses. Although he was a kind person, he was logical, principled, and definitely not someone that a scoundrel like Zhang Wei could easily handle. Sure enough, not long after, a neighbor on the same floor who I was on good terms with sent me a WeChat message. The WeChat message contained a short video. In the video, the ceiling of Uncle Wang's living room was dripping water like rain, with several expensive crystal chandeliers swaying precariously. Uncle Wang stood amidst the mess, his face as dark as storm clouds, holding up his phone and recording Zhang Wei at the doorway. Mr. Zhang, it is now 10:15 in the morning. And your home has been leaking water into mine for over an hour. I demand that you take immediate action to stop the leak. Uncle Wang's voice wasn't loud, but each word was clear and carried an undeniable authority. At the same time, I formally notify you that you must compensate for all economic losses incurred by my household as a result, including but not limited to wall repairs, furniture restoration, appliance damage, and loss of work compensation. Zhang Wei stood at the doorway, His face turning a purplish red like a pig's liver. He wanted to act tough, but was completely silenced by Uncle Wang's overwhelming presence. His repertoire of throwing tantrums and making a scene was utterly fragile and powerless in the face of real laws and rules. Watching Zhang Wei's defeated expression in the video filled me with immense satisfaction. I tossed my phone aside, took off my sunglasses, and stretched lazily in the sunlight. I knew that this farce was only just beginning. Zhang Wei's troubles were far greater than he had imagined. At 1001 hashtag, unable to gain any advantage in real life, Zhang Wei and Luan shifted their battlefield online. They began to viciously slander and personally attack me in the residential community's owners group chat. Luan was the first to strike. She sent a 60-second voice message in the group chat, and as soon as it was played, her piercing wails could be heard. What wrong has our family done to deserve this? To have such a malicious neighbor. She's a single woman, unhappy with her own life, and can't stand to see other families happy. She's deliberately trying to drive our family of 3 to our deaths. She twisted the facts, portraying herself as a perfect housewife persecuted by a malicious leftover woman. Soon after, Zhang Wei also made an appearance. He began playing the role of a tragic male lead, sending over a dozen photos of his flooded home in the group chat one after another. The warped and swollen floorboards, the soaked sofa, and that 80-inch television with a black screen, each photo silently conveyed a sense of grievance. My wife and I worked so hard to build this home, and now it's completely ruined. I really don't know how we offended this Miss Lin, that she would use such methods to mess with us. He also implied with pointed meaning that I have a complicated background and am intentionally targeting them. The couple performed in perfect harmony. Their acting skills, some well-meaning but uninformed neighbors in the group were immediately swayed by their narrative. Oh dear, the situation downstairs is just too pitiful. It's heartbreaking to watch. Shaolin, we're all neighbors here. Couldn't we have talked this through properly instead of letting it come to this? When you can afford to be forgiving, you should be. That's right, that's right. A close neighbor means more than a distant relative. If everyone takes a step back, the sky will be clear and boundless. Each piece of light-hearted advice felt like a soft knife, stabbing into me, yet demanding that I show understanding for the executioner who's been sucking my blood. I stared at the scrolling messages on my phone screen, my face expressionless. I even found it somewhat laughable. These people always position themselves on the moral high ground, urging the victim to be magnanimous. I didn't argue with them at all. When the atmosphere in the group reached its peak, and everyone thought I was in the wrong, I leisurely posted several screenshots of evidence I had prepared earlier. The first one was my heating bill for the past 3 months. It clearly showed that I had been paying the highest tier in the entire community, nearly 1,000 yuan per month. The second image is a temperature comparison chart I took with an infrared thermometer. On the left is the temperature of my floor, 3 degrees Celsius. On the right is the temperature of Zhang Wei's ceiling, 8 degrees Celsius. The huge temperature difference, displayed in bright red numbers, is like a resounding slap in the face, vividly illustrating how shamelessly the heat is being stolen. The third piece of evidence, and the most damning one, it was an audio recording. I clicked send. Everyone in the group heard the things Luan said to me at the door that day. Her confident, even somewhat boastful and mocking voice echoed in the quiet homeowners group chat. Your heating is strong, and the warmth travels downward. What's wrong with us benefiting a little? Those who pay for heating are the real fools. We don't spend a single cent, yet our homes are still at 28 degrees. Doesn't that make you angry? The recording finished playing. The entire homeowners group fell into a deathly silence. A full 3 minutes passed before someone cautiously sent up. All those nice guys who had previously spoken up in support instantly vanished without a trace, as if they had never existed. The tide of opinion instantly reversed in the face of undeniable evidence. Holy crap, so they're just mooching off the heat, and they have the nerve to act so entitled. They don't spend a single penny a month enjoying the warmth that others paid for, and then turn around and curse them out. What kind of bizarre creature even is that? This isn't just taking advantage of small benefits anymore, this is outright theft. I feel so bad for Miss Lin. She's paying the bills, but her own home is freezing cold like an ice cellar, all while contributing to these ungrateful leeches downstairs. The flood of public opinion shifted direction, surging fiercely toward Zhang Wei and Luan. I watched the stream of messages in the group chat accusing them, then coldly locked my phone screen, trying to use public opinion to pressure me. In the face of absolute evidence, all the performances of these clowns will only make their downfall more humiliating. At 1001 hashtag, on the battlefield of public opinion, Zhang Wei and his wife suffered a crushing defeat, under the siege of their neighbors. They slunk away and never dared to say another word in the group chat. But the troubles in the real world were far more troublesome than the accusations online. due to prolonged soaking. The ceiling at Uncle Wang's house had large areas of bulging and peeling paint. The set of rosewood furniture in the living room, which he cherished dearly, had been warped by the sewage. Several famous calligraphy and paintings hanging on the wall had also developed mold spots due to the dampness. These losses were far from being as simple as repainting the walls. Uncle Wang didn't waste any words with Zhang Wei. He directly hired a professional third-party loss assessment company to evaluate the damage to his home. The next day, a beautifully printed and clearly itemized list of losses was delivered to Zhang Wei. The last column of the list was written in bold black font, indicating the total amount, 53,600 yuan. Zhang Wei's eyes turned red with fury when he saw that number. He immediately tore the list to shreds and started yelling at Uncle Wang, pointing a finger right in his face. "You're robbing me, a few pieces of rotten wood and scraps of paper, and you're asking me for 50,000, you're dreaming." He even felt the urge to rush forward and get physical, but as soon as he raised his hand, he was stopped by a tall figure. It was Uncle Wang's son, a muscular man who worked as a trainer at a gym, with arms thicker than Zhang Wei's thighs, with just one hand. He effortlessly pressed down on Zhang Wei's shoulder, rendering him unable to move. "Uncle, let's talk this out calmly. No need for violence." Uncle Wang's son spoke calmly, but the force in his hand was undeniable. For the first time, Zhang Wei was completely overpowered by another person in both physical strength and presence. His face flushed red, yet he couldn't even struggle, experiencing the helplessness and humiliation of a scholar encountering a soldier. The property manager also rushed over, holding a copy of the resident handbook. In order to quickly absolve himself of responsibility, he turned to a specific page in front of everyone, pointed to a clause, and read aloud, "According to Article 17, Section 3 of the Community Management Regulations, if damage to indoor facilities and equipment is caused by the homeowner's own actions, including but not limited to failure to take necessary anti-freezing measures, failure to pay heating fees on time, etc., and such damage results in losses to other residents, the homeowner in question shall bear full responsibility." It was written in black and white, clear as day. Zhang Wei was completely dumbfounded. He had never imagined that his money-saving trick, the clever move he had been so proud of and boasted about everywhere, would trigger such a severe chain of consequences. He collapsed on the spot like a gambler who had lost all his chips. Luan stood by, only able to cover her face and cry. She no longer defended Zhang Zhong. Instead, she began to blame him. "It's all your fault. I told you to pay the heating bill back then, but you just wouldn't listen. You had to save that little bit of money. Now look, the money we have to pay in compensation is enough to cover our heating bills for 10 years. Are you satisfied now?" For the first time, the couple had a fierce argument in front of their neighbors. Zhang Wei channeled all his anger, helplessness, and regret into blaming his wife. "You have the nerve to say that about me. If it weren't for you showing off in the group chat every day and bragging everywhere, would Lin Wan have found out that we're mooching off the heating? You good-for-nothing woman, you can't accomplish anything but you're great at messing things up." Their mutual accusations were like a poorly performed farce. These messages, relayed in real time by the neighbors, reached my ears word for word. "I'm enjoying the sunbath by the hotel's outdoor pool, feeling completely at peace. I even feel a bit like laughing. From the moment I turned off the heating valve, I had already anticipated all possible scenarios and preemptively absolved myself of any responsibility. The center of this storm is no longer me, and Zhang Wei and Luan are paying a heavy price for their greed and foolishness." At 1001 hashtag, the 50,000 yuan compensation from Uncle Wang weighed on Zhang Wei like a mountain, but he refused to pay the compensation. As a result, Uncle Wang directly submitted the lawsuit materials and applied to the court for pre-litigation property preservation. When the court summons and the freezing notice were delivered to Zhang Wei together, he finally realized that Uncle Wang was serious. This seemingly gentle and refined old man was far more resolute in his methods than Zhang Wei had imagined. The words property preservation struck like a heavy hammer, completely shattering Zhang Wei's illusions of evading responsibility. This meant that if he didn't pay the compensation, the court would directly seal off this property of his. Misfortunes never come singly. The burst point of the heating pipe at home is under the floor. To repair it, the entire underfloor heating system in the living room must be torn apart and redone. To save money back then, they had installed the cheapest, low-quality laminate flooring, soaked by the water. It has all swollen and deformed, completely ruined. The repair team came to take a look and gave him a quote that made his heart race. Redoing the floor heating, replacing the flooring, plus labor and waste removal fees. It all added up to another huge expense of nearly 30,000 yuan. One blow after another left the family on the verge of collapse. Luan went back to her parents' home in tears to ask for help, but when her family learned the whole story, not only did they not offer any financial help, they also severely scolded her. They said that the couple had acted dishonorably, always trying to take advantage, and now that something had gone wrong, it was utterly disgraceful. Zhang Wei was completely caught in a dilemma from both inside and outside. There was Uncle Wang's relentless pressure. At home, there was his wife's crying and complaints, along with the cold stares and contempt from relatives. His meager self-esteem was utterly crushed. Under immense pressure, his mindset began to twist. He no longer reflected on his own mistakes, but instead directed all his resentment toward me. He became paranoid, convinced that I, Lin Wan, had destroyed his once happy and perfect life, if I hadn't suddenly turned off the heating. None of this would have happened. A malicious thought took root and sprouted in his heart. Since my family is having a hard time, you shouldn't have it easy either. Late that night, after having some drinks, he sneaked to my doorstep. Emboldened by the alcohol, he pulled a tube of super glue from his pocket, ready to block the keyhole of my house. He wanted to make it impossible for me to return home. He wanted me to experience the feeling of being cornered. A sinister smile spread across his face as he unscrewed the cap of the glue and aimed it at the keyhole. Just as he was about to succeed, a blinding white light suddenly illuminated, enveloping his entire body. Immediately after, a sharp, piercing alarm sound instantly echoed throughout the hallway. Alert, alert, humanoid movement detected in the doorway area. Recording and alarm functions have been activated. That was the smart camera I had installed in advance at the door. It not only has motion detection capabilities but also comes with a strong light flash and a high-decibel alarm. Zhang Wei, feeling guilty like a thief, was so frightened by this sudden turn of events that he froze on the spot. The glue in his hand fell to the ground with a thud. His face, twisted by alcohol and resentment, was captured clearly by the camera's high-definition lens. At 1001 hashtag, the piercing alarm sound, like a sharp sword, cut through the tranquility of the deep night. The sound activated lights in the entire building lit up in response. Neighbors opened their doors one after another, sticking their heads out to see what was happening. The security guard also rushed up from downstairs upon hearing the noise. Zhang Wei stood frozen at my doorstep, still holding the glue cap in his hand, while the super glue tube on the floor was undeniable evidence of his guilt, caught red-handed, just as he was at a loss and being pointed at by the neighbors. A cold voice came from the surveillance camera. Mr. Zhang, visiting so late at night, do you have some issue with my door lock? I was lying on the soft hotel bed in Sanya, watching this farce at my doorstep remotely through a mobile app. My voice came through the camera speaker, echoing clearly in the hallway. Everything you've done to my door lock is being watched by all the neighbors in the complex. Zhang Wei's face instantly turned from flushed to deathly pale. Only then did he realize that his every move had been broadcast live. With the video evidence being irrefutable, he had no way to defend himself. Under the neighbors' contemptuous and mocking gazes, like a defeated rooster, he was escorted by 2 tall security guards on either side to the property management office. I didn't hesitate for a moment and immediately forwarded the video that recorded his entire criminal process to the property manager and Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang replied immediately. This already constitutes provocation and disturbance, and given the severity of the circumstances, we can definitely report it to the police. The property manager obviously didn't want to escalate the matter and affect the reputation of the residential community. He had no choice but to pressure Zhang Wei, insisting that he must give me an explanation. Finally, in the property management office, Zhang Wei, in front of the property manager and security guards, delivered a humiliating apology to my phone screen. Miss Lin, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I had too much to drink and acted foolishly, which led me to do such a terrible thing. I promise it will never happen again. Please be merciful and forgive me this time. His voice was as low as a mosquito's hum, filled with resentment and shame. He probably never imagined in his life that he would bow his head to the woman he hated most. Staring at a phone screen, Luan also rushed to the property management upon hearing the news. Seeing her husband in such a pathetic state, she felt both ashamed and furious, and immediately started a heated argument with Zhang Wei. The couple's conflict was further intensified under the public gaze. This incident, like a heavy bomb, completely destroyed the reputation of Zhang Wei and his wife in the community. Everyone came to know that they not only sought petty gains but also had serious character flaws. They were completely socially dead, and I, thousands of miles away, watched all of this unfold on my phone, calmly ended the video call. Then, I picked up the hotel room phone and ordered myself the most luxurious seafood dinner to celebrate, strategizing within the command tent, securing victory 1,000 miles away, make the enemy lose face while I remain unscathed. This feeling is truly exhilarating. At 1001 hashtag, after half a month of vacation. I returned to my city, my neighborhood. Stepping out of the elevator, a breath of fresh air greeted me. I was surprised to find that the doormat at my doorstep had been replaced with a brand new one, and next to it was an apology fruit basket sent by the property management. It seems that the incident involving Zhang Wei last time really put pressure on the property management. In the hallway, I ran into a few familiar neighbors. When they saw me, their attitudes became unusually friendly and polite, even with a touch of admiration. Shaolin is back. You did the right thing. That's exactly how they should be dealt with. If you ever need anything in the future, just say the word. We've got your back. I smiled and nodded in response, feeling completely at peace inside. As I unlocked the door with my key, a wave of warmth instantly enveloped me. I turned on the heating in advance using my phone app, and now the house is as warm as spring. With a constant temperature of 25 degrees, so comfortable it makes you want to sigh, I changed into slippers and turned on the newly purchased aroma diffuser, and the whole world became quiet and beautiful. This is the kind of life I should be enjoying with my money. In stark contrast is downstairs. The entrance to Zhang Wei's home was piled with dismantled flooring and various construction debris, emitting a damp, musty smell. Inside the house, the harsh sound of an electric drill could be heard from time to time, along with the couple's unrestrained arguments. The poor soundproofing allowed their conversation to drift up intermittently. Where's the money? The compensation for Uncle Wang? When are you going to borrow it? Came Luan's shrill, tearful cry. I told you to pay the heating bill back then, but you wouldn't. Now look. The cost of repairing the house is enough to cover 10 years of heating fees, you jinx. Immediately after, came Zhang Wei's furious roar. How dare you say that? If it weren't for you showing off in the group chat every day, would anyone have known we were freeloading on the heating? It's all because of your big mouth. I must have been blind to marry you in the first place. The once perfect family that used to flaunt their happiness in the homeowners group chat is now reduced to blaming each other and hurling vicious curses. Because of money and pressure. The thin veil of their hypocritical harmony has been torn to shreds. Listening to the noise coming from downstairs, I feel completely unmoved. I even find it a bit too loud. I walked over to the desk and put on my noise-canceling headphones. The whole world instantly became quiet. I turned on the computer and began leisurely dealing with the work emails that had piled up over the past 2 weeks. From then on, all the chaos of the outside world had nothing to do with me. Their hell and my heaven are separated only by the distance of a floor. At 1001 hashtag, Zhang Wei ultimately failed to gather enough money to compensate Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang's patience ran out, and he formally filed a lawsuit in court. The court summons, like a death warrant, was delivered by the postman to Zhang Wei's chaotic home. To make matters worse, the video of Zhang Wei using glue to block my door lock late at night was also submitted to the court by Uncle Wang's lawyer as supplementary evidence of his poor character. The impact of this incident even spread to his work. Some neighbor, no one knows who, spread his glorious deeds in the residential community to his company's colleague group chat. Soon after, the leadership at his company had a serious talk with him, although he wasn't directly fired. This incident severely damaged his image and reputation within the company. His expected year-end performance award was revoked, and the largest year-end bonus vanished into thin air. The dual blows from work and life, like two massive mountains, completely crushed Zhang Wei. He began drowning his sorrows in alcohol, returning home drunk every day. Drunk, he would argue with Luan. It started with verbal abuse and gradually escalated into physical violence. A slap, a shove, like opening Pandora's box. It caused the violence in this family to escalate continuously. Luan finally reached her breaking point. On a night when Zhang Wei laid hands on her again, she called the police, then returned to her parents' home covered in bruises, with her terrified son crying loudly. Moreover, through her lawyer, she formally filed for divorce from Zhang Wei. Zhang Wei's world completely collapsed at that moment. He lost the bonus he was about to receive, the respect of his neighbors, and the trust of his friends. Now, he is about to lose even his own family and the house that is soon to be seized by the court. He rushed to his mother-in-law's house, knelt on the ground, and tearfully begged Luan to forgive him, pleading with her not to divorce. But as Luan looked at his face, swollen from a hangover and despair, her eyes held nothing but cold disappointment and disgust. The husband she had once been so proud of, the one she thought was clever and shrewd, had now become a complete scoundrel, a drunkard, and a failure. She had completely given up on him, from initially feeling smug about taking small advantages, to now being abandoned by everyone and left with nothing. Zhang Wei's life has completed a tragic and ridiculous cycle. He has transformed from a perpetrator into someone who appears somewhat pitiful. But all of this was his own fault and does not deserve anyone's sympathy. At 1001 hashtag, The court's verdict was soon announced. There was no suspense. Zhang Wei must fully compensate Uncle Wang for his loss of 53,600 yuan within 15 days after the verdict takes effect and bear all the costs of this lawsuit. If the payment is not made by the due date, the court will initiate enforcement proceedings and auction off the property under his name in order to save his house. Zhang Wei had to swallow his pride and borrow money from everyone he could. He reached out to all his relatives and friends, pleading with them and enduring countless snubs and ridicule. In the end, after being repeatedly rejected, he even had the nerve to show up at my doorstep. Through the peephole, I saw him standing outside the door, looking haggard and dejected. His hair was greasy and limp, and he had a stubbly beard, like a homeless man. He rang the doorbell. I opened the intercom on the inside of the security door but did not open the door. "What do you want?" My voice was as cold as ice. Zhang Wei heard my voice and forced a smile on his face that looked even worse than crying. "Miss Lin, neighbor Lin, I know I was wrong before. I was a jerk. Could you be magnanimous and put in a good word for me with Uncle Wang? Ask him to give me a few more days, or could you lend me some money to tide me over? I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I get my paycheck." I was so exasperated by his fanciful words that I almost laughed in disbelief. I stared at him coldly through the heavy security door. "Mr. Zhang, I just have one question for you. Back when your family was enjoying 28 degrees of warmth, did you ever stop to think that my home was only 18 degrees? Now that your winter has come, what does it have to do with me?" My words, like a sharp knife, pierced through his last shred of hypocritical hope. His face instantly flushed bright red, as if he had been stripped naked in public. He opened his mouth, but not a single word came out. In the end, he could only turn and leave in embarrassment under my gaze. I watched his hunched back, as if bent by the weight of life, and felt not a trace of sympathy in my heart. I knew that showing mercy to such a person would be the greatest cruelty to myself. Not long after, news came that Luan and Zhang Wei had officially divorced. This house, as their joint marital property, had to be divided. The only solution is to sell the house and divide the proceeds. This made Zhang Wei's situation even more difficult, to divide the property and also to repay Uncle Wang's debt. The house they had once been so proud of, even to the point of harming their neighbors' interests for it, had to be listed on a real estate website, urgently sold at a price far below market value. A seemingly glamorous middle-class family, just like that, completely fell apart and plunged into the abyss because of a seemingly insignificant act of petty greed. At 1001 hashtag. Zhang Wei's house was exceptionally difficult to sell, due to a severe history of water leakage. The walls and floors had left behind traces that could not be completely repaired, which became the biggest flaw of the house. Coupled with his urgency to sell in order to repay debts, the price was repeatedly lowered, yet there were still no takers. The agent responsible for this property, in order to close the deal as quickly as possible and avoid future disputes, had no choice but to truthfully recount all of Zhang Wei's past misdeeds in the neighborhood to every potential buyer who came to view the house. This family has some character issues. To save on heating costs, they relied on the warmth from the upstairs neighbors, which ended up freezing and bursting their own pipes, and even flooded the unit below. As a result, this further discouraged the vast majority of interested buyers. No one wants to live next to such people, let alone purchase a problematic property with such a disgraceful history. Zhang Wei was tormented by this matter to the point of exhaustion, as if he had aged 10 years in just 1 month. On the other hand, Uncle Wang successfully obtained the full compensation through the court's enforcement. To express his gratitude, he specially brought a basket of imported fruits to my home to thank me for my decisiveness back then. "Shaolin, I owe it all to you this time." Uncle Wang sat on my sofa and said with emotion, "To deal with such a scoundrel, you can't use the methods of a gentleman. If you don't take action, that's one thing, but once you do, you have to hit where it hurts, so he won't dare to do it again." I poured him a cup of tea, and we had a pleasant conversation. At that moment, I felt that there were still good neighbors in this community. We just need to use the right approach to filter out those who are worth associating with. Finally, after being listed for 3 months, Zhang Wei's house was eventually sold. He had no choice but to sell it to an investor who specializes in purchasing such problem properties for rental purposes, at a price that was a full 300,000 yuan below the market value. After receiving the payment for the house, he immediately used it to repay the court's enforcement amount and various other debts he had previously borrowed, then divided the remaining assets with Luan. The money that finally ended up in his hands wasn't even enough for a down payment on a small apartment in the city. On the day he moved, a cold drizzle was falling. I looked down from the window and saw a dilapidated small truck parked downstairs. The movers carried down some old water-damaged furniture, haphazardly wrapped in plastic sheets. Zhang Wei stood alone in the rain, without an umbrella, letting the cold raindrops soak his hair and clothes. The scene was extremely desolate. I watched quietly for a while, then calmly drew the curtains. His life, his fate, none of it had anything to do with me anymore. At 1001 hashtag, after Zhang Wei moved away, the downstairs remained quiet for a long time. A month later, the new neighbors moved in. They were a young couple who seemed very friendly, with a little girl who had just started kindergarten. On the day they moved in, they took the initiative to visit all the neighbors upstairs and downstairs, including me. They brought fruit with them and were very sincere and polite. From now on, we'll be neighbors. Please look out for us. We will definitely pay the property fees and heating bills on time. If there's anything we're not doing well, please feel free to let us know. I smiled and accepted their fruit, feeling as if the last stone in my heart had finally settled. My community life had finally returned to what it should have been: calm, comfortable, and undisturbed, yet retaining the most basic kindness between people. Winter has come again. I paid the heating bill right away and turned the valve to the maximum. The entire house was as warm as spring. Wearing light loungewear and walking barefoot on the warm floor, I felt incredibly cozy and free. I occasionally think of Zhang Wei and his family as well, but that feeling is like recalling a dull black and white movie that has nothing to do with me. I realized that my seemingly ruthless retaliation back then was not purely out of malicious revenge. It was more like a necessary act of self-protection. It is to defend the boundaries of my personal life from being shamelessly violated and trampled upon by unscrupulous individuals. That evening, I curled up on the sofa, scooping ice cream with a spoon. Outside the window, the north wind howled, while inside, there was a warm and cozy atmosphere. I took a photo and posted it on my social media feed. In the photo, there are my legs, an ice cream, and a corner of my warm living room. I captioned this photo with a line: "The warmth this winter is truly sweet." This moment was hidden from most people on my social media, visible only to a few mutual friends. I believe it will somehow reach Luan's eyes, and at this moment, she might be squeezed into that small, cold secondary bedroom at her parents' house with her child, worrying about their future life and her son's tuition fees. I have reclaimed the warmth that rightfully belonged to me, and they, because of their own greed, have lost it forever. At 1001 hashtag, a year later, I was shopping at a mall downtown when I unexpectedly ran into Luan. She looked much more haggard and older than she had a year before. She was wearing an old-style coat that was pilling, and she was leading her son, struggling to sort through items in the discount section of a fast fashion brand. She saw me too. I was wearing a well-tailored cashmere coat, with delicate, light makeup, and carrying a luxury shopping bag I had just bought. The gap between us was immediately obvious. A flash of extremely complex emotions instantly crossed her eyes. There was jealousy, resentment, and even a hint of regret that I couldn't quite understand. Our eyes met in the air for no more than a second. She was like a startled rabbit, instinctively avoiding my gaze, then grabbed her still noisy son and hurried away almost as if fleeing in panic. I stood there, watching her flustered retreating figure, and felt none of the former satisfaction or anger in my heart. Only a sense of unfamiliarity remained, for her, for Zhang Wei, for all those things that once made me feel so suffocated and angry. They have completely become a thing of the past. That decisive counterattack felt like a watershed moment in my life. Since then, my life has been getting better and better. My online design studio landed several major projects, and my income doubled. Through a friend's introduction, I also met a wonderful partner who respects my thoughts and appreciates my independence. I finally understand, blindly yielding and retreating will not earn anyone's respect or gratitude. It will only lead to intensified bullying and demands. Only when you reveal your boundaries and show your strength, using your power to defend your world, can you truly attain peace and tranquility. I turned and walked out of the mall, getting into my warm and comfortable car. The city's neon lights flashed by outside the window, a dazzling stream of colors. I drove the car, heading in the direction of home. That direction was warm and incredibly bright. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. At 3 in the morning, I came across a post on Zaya Hongshu. The title was, "What should I do if I've fallen for my 18-year-old female landlord?" It's the first time I've been so obsessed with a woman that I couldn't sleep all night. I felt a wave of disgust, thinking it was just another overconfident guy having spring fever. When I clicked in to take a look, the woman was from Zhejiang, had long black straight hair, and was attending university in Wenzhou. The more I looked at this description, the more familiar it seemed. Wasn't this me? But my family's tenant is a short, chubby, and unattractive 33-year-old uncle. Just when I thought I was overthinking it, someone in the comments gave the poster a suggestion. To pursue a woman, you need to take the initiative and ask her out first. At worst, use 3 years in prison to give her a lifetime of trauma. Once she's pregnant, are you still afraid she won't be with you soon? The original poster liked the comment, and the next second, a new message popped up on my WeChat. It was from that tenant. Are you there? When I saw those two words, I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine, but I also thought it couldn't possibly be such a coincidence. After all, that tenant just moved in today and seems like a pretty honest person. When I showed him the apartment, he barely spoke the whole time, very introverted. He signed the contract right away without even trying to bargain. Besides, he's already in his 30s. A whole generation older than me. How could he possibly be interested in me? Thinking this, I couldn't help but shake my head, feeling I was being too sensitive. What if they really encountered some problem? So my fingers quickly tapped as I replied, "What's wrong, uncle?" The other side quickly showed typing, but the message took a long time to come through. "It's nothing. I just remembered I forgot to ask you about the water and electricity." I immediately felt much more at ease. It really was just me overthinking things. Electricity is 1.2 yuan per kilowatt hour. Water is 4 yuan per ton. Generally, there's no discount, but if you renew the lease next year, I can give you a better price. This is my usual line. After all, it's not easy to find a long-term, stable tenant, but the other person never replied again. Maybe they fell asleep. I took another look at that post. Most people were just lurking, waiting for updates. So I casually bookmarked it before going to bed. I thought to myself, wondering which unlucky girl would catch the poster's eye. The next morning, as soon as I woke up, I saw a message from that older guy. "Hey, thanks for taking the trouble to show me the apartment. You don't need to treat me specially. I'm just like everyone else / covering mouth laughing. Let's hang out together tomorrow and grab a casual meal / rose." For some reason, my mind suddenly recalled that comment from yesterday. Talking about taking the initiative, asking someone out to get pregnant and all that, it scared me so much I lost half my sleepiness. I immediately refused, saying, "I don't have time to go out, I have to go back to school soon." The other person didn't press further and just replied, "Okay." Only then did I feel a bit relieved. After brushing my teeth and washing my face, I planned to go downstairs to eat. Unexpectedly, as soon as I stepped out, I ran into that tenant Jingdong again. When Jingdong saw me, the fat on his face squinted into a slit as he smiled. "Good morning, little sister. Are you going to have breakfast? I just moved here and I'm not very familiar with the area yet. How about you show me around?" Although he looks honest, round and plump like my dad, and doesn't seem like a bad person, but after seeing that post yesterday, I still feel a bit uneasy inside. So I shook my head and politely but distantly declined, "No, uncle. I still have some things to take care of, so it might not be very convenient. Why don't you go by yourself? There are only a few shops around here." I deliberately emphasized the word uncle to highlight our age difference, while also thinking of testing him a bit. If he was the one who posted that thread, he definitely wouldn't give up on bothering me, but after I rejected Jingdong, his expression didn't change at all. He just kept smiling with his eyes narrowed. "All right. Then go ahead with your work. I'll just look around and get familiar with the place myself. But you still need to eat breakfast. Young girls like you enjoy drinking yogurt, right? I bought 2 bottles. Take one. Don't be polite with me. You worked hard yesterday too." After saying that, Jingdong casually stuffed it into my arms. It was still warm. Seeing his enthusiastic demeanor, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. So I just took it as an elder's concern for a younger person. Watching him walk away, I then bought some steamed buns and mantou before retreating to my room to eat. While eating, I opened Little Red Book again, wanting to catch up on the latest gossip about that post. Sure enough, the original poster had updated again, with the timestamp showing 1 hour ago, updated on the basic situation between me and my landlord's sister. "Good news is coming soon. We are a perfect match made in heaven. She's a beauty and I'm a beast. She's 165 centimeters tall, I'm 160 centimeters, she has a sweet appearance. While I resemble Duchan, my annual income is 30,000, which is enough for her to spend freely. I have a house in the village that can provide shelter from wind and rain for her. I wanted to ask her out yesterday, but she was very shy. I'd like to ask what I should do next. Reading this, I almost have to laugh. 30,000 yuan to spend freely, and a shabby thatched hut to keep out the wind and rain. Sure enough. Some netizens in the comments section were even more ruthless, directly calling him out. "Are you sure she's shy? Not scared? You're a 33-year-old man, and she's an 18-year-old in the prime of her youth. You come from a poor, remote village, while they are a second-generation rich from a prosperous area. You're just over 5 feet tall, and when they wear high heels, they can see the bald spot on top of your head. They are young and beautiful. While you look like a beaten-up Ximenqing after being punched by Wu Song, where on earth did you get the courage? Even Liang Jingru wouldn't dare give it to you." Seeing these righteous people speak, my heart feels so refreshed. I was just about to take a bite of the bun, but the poster's reply left me stunned. "What do you know? She has feelings for me. Although she is young, I am also a refined gentleman. She took the initiative to show me kindness and offered to reduce my water and electricity bills. I insist on not giving special treatment and didn't agree. If this isn't love, then what is? Another look at his IP address showed he was in the exact same location as me. Although I really don't want to admit it, there's a high probability that the poster is actually Jingdong. But I only mentioned that there's a discount for renewal. How did it turn into having feelings for him and voluntarily reducing his utility bills for him? Now I'm so disgusted that I've lost my appetite for breakfast. I could only keep scrolling through the comments to see what else he had said. Many people in the comments section were mocking him, saying that with his conditions, he was like a toad lusting after a swan's flesh, but all of them were refuted by Jingdong. No matter what others say, he always maintains a good self-image. He even said that when I took him to see the apartment, I smiled at him 3 times with affection, deliberately trying to seduce him. If I weren't interested in him, why smile at him? Why not smile at someone else? Oh my god, I was just being polite. I couldn't exactly put on a sad face in front of him, could I? Just thinking about his 1.6-meter height and 180-pound weight makes me absolutely furious. I could only vent my anger by fiercely stabbing open the yogurt with a straw. But I accidentally felt a sticky liquid around the edge of the box. I instantly had a bad feeling. I brought it close to my nose and sniffed, almost gagging. With a nervous heart, I continued searching for answers in the comments section. At that moment, I saw a comment posted by someone with the ID "Peace and Joy." This kind of woman is just pretending to be innocent. If she doesn't go out with you, she's playing hard to get. You can observe her more and create some chance encounters with her. It's best to let her get familiar with your scent, give her some surprises, so it'll be easier to become a family in the future. What Pinion Sheila said is full of sexual innuendos. The male chauvinist vibe is just too strong. The netizens below have criticized her over 99 times, but she doesn't care at all. She just kept provoking Jingdong, urging him to take some action. If I remember correctly, it was her who made that comment about getting someone pregnant back then. If it weren't for the fact that her profile says she's female, I would have thought she was just like those toxic men. Just as I was feeling restless inside, Jingdong's reply made me even more exasperated. Thank you, kind soul, for the advice/fist bump. This morning, I followed your suggestion and waited outside her door, although my little sister finds it hard to control her feelings for me deep down. On the surface she remains shy and reserved. I took the opportunity to present my countless descendants to her as a greeting gift. When she drinks that, she'll know just how much I've been missing her all night long. Pinion Sheila replied with a laughing while covering mouth emoji, praising him for doing a good job. After reading it, I felt extremely conflicted. Countless descendants, so, that jar of yogurt contained, after realizing what happened. I immediately threw the yogurt 3 meters away and washed my hands 10 times with disinfectant. Isn't this just pure sexual harassment? I originally wanted to privately message Jingdong and give him a piece of my mind, but after opening the chat box, I remembered some incidents I had seen in the news. Generally, guys like them who are both ordinary and confident tend to have some psychological issues. If I directly confront him about this and hurt his self-esteem, who knows what crazy things he might do? Besides, my parents are both on business trips recently, and it's dangerous for me to be home alone, so I had no choice but to go and tell my mom about the situation. Upon learning that I was being harassed, my mom was extremely angry. However, since we had signed a contract, it wasn't appropriate to suddenly kick him out without evidence. So she sent a few suggestive messages to Jingdong as a warning. Young man, if you need anything in the future, just come to me. My daughter is about to start school soon and won't have time. Her father said that at her age, she absolutely cannot have an early romance, or he'll break her legs. Look, you're not getting any younger, and you don't have a house or a car. Why haven't you found a girlfriend yet? If it really comes down to it, I can introduce you to someone. Jingdong replied quite quickly, no need, auntie. I'm at the age full of youthful vigor, don't worry. I won't disturb your daughter's studies, I'll only admire her charm from afar. Although his reply was completely off topic, my mom and I thought about it. Any normal person should understand what we mean. After all, we can't put it too bluntly, but obviously, we still underestimated Jingdong's thick skin. That evening, he posted another new thread seeking advice. My mother-in-law took the initiative to show me kindness. How should I negotiate the bride price? And attached the chat history with my mom, saying that my mom is very satisfied with him. I was so angry I almost passed out, so I commented with a side account, is it possible that she was just trying to politely reject you? Guess how her mom found out you were harassing her? It must be because the girl didn't want to talk to you anymore. If you don't have a mirror at home, you must have urine, right? Hurry up and take a look at yourself. But Jingdong was not the least bit discouraged and directly replied to me, what do you know? She deliberately had her mother come to see me, which means she has feelings for me. Otherwise, why would her mother speak with hidden meanings, trying to find out if I have a partner? I am an outstanding person, and there are quite a few girls pursuing me. If you're deliberately trying to get my attention, then you've miscalculated. I am very loyal. After typing out this long string of words, he also attached a selfie, however. He does have some self-awareness and knows that many people criticize him, so he didn't dare to show his face. He only dares to show off his belly, which is at least 8 months pregnant. As expected, there was a wave of mockery in the comments, saying that being liked by someone like him was like having a criminal record. They advised him to find a job if he had nothing better to do and to stop harassing young girls. Just as I was thoroughly enjoying reading those critical comments, a comment from Peace and Joy sent a chill down my spine. The duck is about to fly away, and you're still secretly happy. Her mother already said school is starting soon. With so many guys at school, who knows when she might end up with someone else? Anyway, sooner or later she'll be slept with. You might as well take her virginity tonight. Once the rice is cooked, we won't give a single cent for the bride price. Let's see who would still want a used shoe like her. I took a deep breath. What kind of twisted person could come up with such a sinister trick? Clearly, I had no grudge against her, yet she seemed determined to ruin my life. A minute later, Jingdong liked her comment and replied with a thumbs up. A sudden sense of foreboding washed over me. With his crazy behavior, he might actually be capable of doing something like that. So I quickly packed some clothes overnight and prepared to move into the school dormitory, but just as I reached for the doorknob, the door was violently knocked on. From outside came Jingdong's cold and sleazy voice. Little sister, are you there? I heard some noise coming from your room. Where are you going so late at night? It startled me so much that my hand trembled, almost dropping the suitcase, but upon second thought, he probably doesn't know yet that I've seen the post, so I have to act a bit calmer and not let him notice. I deliberately played dumb and feigned ignorance in my tone. Not going anywhere. What noise? You must have misheard. Is there something you need? Uncle, I'm about to sleep. After saying that, I quickly dialed the emergency number and sent over my location. The police would take another 10 minutes to arrive, so I had to stall for time as much as possible. Jingdong fell silent for a moment, looking somewhat skeptical. Not going anywhere. All right then, I have something to discuss with you. Could you open the door first? I held onto the doorknob tightly, afraid that he might break in. Let's talk about it tomorrow. It's too late now. My parents are downstairs. They'll scold me if they see I'm still awake. I thought saying that would at least warn Jingdong a bit and make him back off, but I never expected him to become even more agitated. You're lying. Your parents went on a business trip just a couple of days ago. Why are you lying to me? Are you just thinking about going to school to fool around with those wild men? How can you be so shameless? Open the door. Hurry up and open the door. Women should stay at home and protect their chastity. Do you understand? After saying that, he started banging on the door even harder and tried to turn my doorknob. I was completely baffled by his shouting, and my temper flared up. What kind of nonsense is this? What purity and integrity? It sounds as if I've betrayed him, but we've only known each other for 3 days, and we've barely spoken a few words. What I do has nothing to do with him. I clenched my fists, ready to snap back at him, but Jingdong, that madman, actually raised an axe and started smashing the door. I was so scared that I swallowed my words just as they were about to come out. He's not in a normal state of mind right now. If I provoke him, I'll be the one who suffers. Besides, the security door in my house is pretty sturdy. Even if he tries to break it down, it'll take some time. Thinking this, I decided not to say a word and pretended to be dead. A few minutes later, the sound of Jingdong banging on the door abruptly stopped. I waited for a while, and only after making sure there was no more noise did I dare to peek through the peephole. It was pitch black outside, not a single person in sight. Had he given up? Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, suddenly there was a crack sound. The window was opened. Oh no, how could I have forgotten to close the window? Jingdong poked his head in from outside, his eyes squinting into a smile. Little sister, you're not being good. You're clearly inside. Why aren't you saying anything? Big brother is going to have to punish you properly. In the middle of the night, he suddenly jumped out, just like a ghost. He scared me so much that I fell flat on my face, and my heart almost jumped out of my chest. What are you doing? This is trespassing. It's illegal. If you dare to come in again, I won't be polite to you. I fumbled around and could only pick up a pitifully small fruit knife from the table to point at him. Perhaps the tears in the corner of my eyes stirred Jingdong's protective instincts. While leaning against the window, he frantically waved his hands. Little sister, don't be afraid. I'm someone who cherishes the fairer sex and can't stand to see girls cry. You're about to start school soon, and there are so many wild boys out there. What if someone tricks you? I don't mean anything else. I'm just concerned about you. Anyway, you'll end up sleeping with someone sooner or later. Why not let me show you what it feels like to be a woman first? Jingdong's face still looked honest and sincere, but the words coming out of his mouth grew more shameless with each sentence, and he still insists on building this devoted lover persona for himself. It makes me want to vomit. I glanced at the time out of the corner of my eye. The police would probably arrive in about 3 minutes. Before that, I need to find a way to stall him. Judging from Jingdong's posts and his reaction just now, he probably has feelings for me. What I can take advantage of is his so-called chivalry towards women. Brother Dong, please don't be like this. I'm scared. Could you please get down from the window first? I'm not mentally prepared yet. Tomorrow. I promise I'll give you an answer tomorrow. As I spoke, I shakily put down the fruit knife and pretended to wipe away tears. Jingdong had one leg dangling out the window, unable to go up or come down. He looked at me with a hint of suspicion in his eyes. Tomorrow. Will you still be here tomorrow? I'm afraid I won't see you tomorrow, brother. Only when you become my woman can I truly feel at ease. I gave him a flirtatious glance and cooed in a sweet, affected voice. Oh, you're so mean. Actually, I'm just a little nervous, and I'm still in my pajamas right now, with no makeup on. I'm too embarrassed to see anyone. How about you go down first, and I'll open the door after I change my clothes. Upon hearing my words, Jingdonghuan's soul seemed to drift away. He quickly rubbed his hands together and revealed a meaningful expression. I get it. You young girls always care about your appearance. Women dress up for those who appreciate them. Since you have feelings for me too, I'm not in a hurry right now. Little sister, I'll be waiting for you. Remember to dress sexy, preferably with black stockings and a bodycon skirt. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a pervert, I only have feelings for you. After saying that, he swung his short legs over and jumped out the window again. I agreed readily, but as soon as he left, I immediately closed the window and locked it. Jingdong didn't notice anything amiss and was still waiting eagerly outside the door. Little sister, are you ready? Should I take off my pants first? After saying that, I heard a rustling sound of clothes being taken off, but what he eagerly awaited was not me, but the sound of police sirens. At first, Jingdong stood there in a daze, a bit slow to react. By the time the police rushed over with stern expressions, he hadn't even had time to pull up his pants. He could only raise his hands high in surrender, smiling obsequiously. Officer, this is a misunderstanding. I'm a good person. I haven't done anything illegal. I was just joking around with my girlfriend. Little sister, come out and explain quickly. I seized the opportunity and opened the door directly, crying with tears and snot all over my face. Uncle police officer, it's him. He's a pervert. He's been stalking me recently. Look, he even smashed my door. And the axe is still right there, in the middle of the night. He didn't even wear pants and kept harassing me at my doorstep. Please arrest him quickly. Jingdong, while pulling up his pants, pointed at me in disbelief. Little sister, what are you talking about? Didn't you say you'd come out as soon as you changed clothes? That's not true. Officer, I'm innocent. I never harassed her. She was the one who seduced me. If you have the guts, show me the evidence. Don't slander me. I shrugged and went straight back to my room to get the yogurt he had given me. This is the evidence of him harassing me. Officer, if you run a test, you'll know. Because I thought this thing was dirty, I specifically wore 10 layers of disposable gloves. Now, Jingdong got exactly what he asked for and lost all his strength and tricks. He could only glare at me with furious eyes. To be honest, I feel a bit scared in retrospect. But honestly, there really wasn't a better way to handle today's situation. After giving my statement, the police let me come back first. As for Jingdong, the police said that since there were no substantial actions, they couldn't sentence him either. He could only be detained for 10 days for the crime of stalking and fined 500 yuan. Before I left, the police officer advised me to take this opportunity to move quickly and protect myself. They also warned Jingdong that the consequences would be severe if he offended again. The next day, I informed my parents and moved back to live on campus. After all, there are many people at the school, so I doubt he would dare to cause trouble for me in public. For safety reasons, my parents also decided to move to another house. As for the rental contract with Jingdong, it was simply voided. I had thought that after this lesson, Jingdong would behave himself once he got out. I've been keeping an eye on that post too, but there haven't been any updates. But unexpectedly, half a month later, I suddenly received an anonymous package. Inside was a set of revealing lingerie. The moment I opened the package, my roommates all looked at me with teasing eyes. Oh, when did our aloof beauty find herself a boyfriend? You even have his clothes picked out. Why haven't you introduced him to us? But I turned a deaf ear and quickly opened my phone. Sure enough, Jingdong's profile had been updated again. This time he posted a new thread, and the content was only 4 words. I'm back. I suspect this was deliberately meant for me to see. After what happened last time, he should have some idea that I check his posts. Under the new post, that peace and joy came to join the fun again. How's it going, bro? Did you get that little flirt sorted out? Let me tell you, persistent pursuit wins over infatuated women. If you still can't get her, just keep pestering her relentlessly. It's best to make it impossible for her to live a normal life. See if she panics then. Jingdong replied to her as quickly as ever. Got it. /fist bump. I was so angry that I clenched my fists. This peace and joy is nothing but a troublemaker, but unfortunately, she's separated from me by an internet connection, and I can't get my hands on her. All I could do was silently take screenshots of her comments to use as evidence later. After agonizing for a long time, I told my roommates about this matter. It started with that bizarre love confession post, followed by the yogurt and the late-night harassment. Everyone felt indignant on my behalf, but Jingdong didn't cause me any actual harm, and even if I reported it to the police, he would probably just be detained again. So everyone agreed that the best way to deal with someone like him was to give him a taste of his own medicine. I thought it made sense and began quietly considering countermeasures in my mind. After that day, Jingdong himself never showed up again, probably afraid of being caught once more. Instead, he sent me some bizarre things every day to disgust me. Sometimes it's lingerie, underwear, black stockings, and sometimes used condoms, until one time, along with the things he sent me, there was a mysterious little card attached. Suddenly, a brilliant idea came to me. Since he enjoys harassing others so much, why not let him experience what it's like to be harassed? This time, I took the initiative to send the first WeChat message to Jingdong. Dong, would you like to see me in this outfit? Along with the message, I also attached a picture of sexy lingerie. Jingdong replied almost instantly, you little brat, since when are you so kind-hearted? What trick are you trying to pull now? I sent an apologetic emoji over and then replied, Brother Dong, I really didn't mean it last time, you know. My dad doesn't allow me to date so young, but after all this time, I've come to realize that I still can't let you go. Brother Dong, you're so manly and charming, you've completely captivated me. Can you forgive me this time? Jingdong hesitated for a long time before replying with a cool sunglasses emoji. It's only natural for you to like me. Forget it, I forgive you, although many people are pursuing me. I'll only spoil you alone/Rose. Seeing how quickly he took the bait, I seized the moment and started chatting with him. As we talked, the conversation shifted to that outfit. Jingdong sent a flirtatious emoji, saying he wanted to see me put it on in person. I immediately replied with a shy emoji, Brother Dong, I want to see you wear it first. As long as you wear it, we'll go on a date this week. Jingdong lost himself in my promise and quickly agreed to the request. But the moment his photo was sent over, I immediately posted it in the gay bar, and captioned, the ultimate little bottom, waiting for my man to pamper me. In the photo, Jingdong's eyes looked dazed, several large rolls of fat are squeezed together, yet it doesn't affect his flirting at all. Soon there were several comments under the post, some asked about the price, others wanted to make appointments. But more people chose to wait and see. I directly wrote 2 words with a flourish, free. In an instant, Jingdong became in high demand. Many netizens sent me private messages, hoping to schedule a deep conversation with him. While I marveled at everyone's peculiar tastes, I suppressed my disgust and showered Jingdong with a stream of flattery. He was so delighted that he couldn't wait to showcase his charm right away. Finally, we agreed to meet at 10 p.m. on Sunday in room 438 of a certain hotel. Jingdong, full of anticipation, put on that sexy outfit and waited for me. He kept sending me photos to harass me. Little sister, I'm already burning with desire, just waiting for you to come. I quickly replied to him as well, don't worry, you won't be thirsty for long. After saying that, I directly posted the address of that hotel on the forum. Then, I immediately blocked Jingdong. As for whether anyone went that night or how many people went, I have no idea. The next day, Jingdong came straight to the gate of my school. He was limping, holding his buttocks, and his face was bruised and swollen. Clearly, he had been through quite a lot. When he saw me, Jingdong was extremely emotional. Just as I tried to straighten my back to speak, my butt hurt so much that I let out a howling scream. I could only point at you with a trembling hand and curse, you wretched woman, how dare you mess with me? Do you know what I went through last night? There were 4 or 5 men, shoving bottles and whipping me with a leather whip, and they didn't stop all night. My chrysanthemum is about to bloom. What the hell do you mean? Now you've got me surrounded by a bunch of guys. Just you wait. I shrugged my shoulders and retorted with his own words, looking completely innocent. How can you say it's my fault? Wasn't it you who deliberately seduced them? Why do they only bother you and not others? Sometimes men need to reflect on their own issues and understand the importance of integrity. Anyway, you're going to get laid sooner or later. What difference does it make who does it? Stop pretending to be some chaste martyr. Jingdong was even more furious, to the point where he felt like climbing over the wall just to come and hit me. I slowly took out my phone and dialed 110 using the keypad. There are security guards inside the school and police outside. I suggest you give up. I've kept all those suspicious packages. If you continue to harass or harm me, let's see who ends up getting arrested. Perhaps my attitude was firm enough, as Jingdong gritted his teeth and grimaced for a while. In the end, he still chose to slink away in disgrace. The post I made on the gay bar forum is still gaining traction, and many people are eager to get a taste of Jingdong. As a result, I didn't see him again for the next few months. I guess he's also being stalked, harassed, and entangled by someone, so he doesn't have time to deal with me. But Jingdong didn't stop there. On a certain calm night, he posted another new thread, directly pushing me into the spotlight. The title of that post was, "Delivering Takeout and Being Scammed Out of All My Savings by a Gold Digger. I Might As Well Just Die." The accompanying picture shows him standing on a rooftop, tears streaming down his face. It has to be said, Jingdong has the face of an honest person, and he really looks the part, this time. He abandoned his old account that had been heavily criticized. He turned around and created a new account, crafting a persona of a deceived, honest man. According to his own account, he is a hardworking delivery guy. After delivering food to me a few times, I actively seduced him, and we ended up together. However, during our relationship, aside from asking him for money, I never showed him any affection. He refused to publicly acknowledge our relationship to his friends. I didn't mercilessly dump him until I had drained all of his savings, I have to say. This persona is truly despicable and bound to attract criticism. The lies I made up are so ridiculous that even I want to laugh. He even posted our conversations in the thread, taking them out of context. I posted some clips of me praising him and asking him for rent, creating the illusion that we were in a relationship. Then I released various large transfer records, claiming I was a gold-digging woman. I zoomed in and saw that it was just the rent and deposit photoshopped. 5,000 was edited to 500,000, and 2,000 was edited to 200,000. The key point is, those netizens actually believed it and started feeling sorry for Jingdong Lai. In addition, he posted the location address of the rooftop, which quickly attracted widespread attention. A large number of netizens spontaneously went to find him, trying to persuade him not to jump. Many even started live streaming from the scene. In the scene, Jingdong is desperately seeking death, crying so hard that his face is covered in snot and tears. "Thank you, you are all good people, but it's too late now, just let me die. After breaking up with her, I have nothing left. I will never trust women again in this lifetime. Only death can truly set me free." His shifty eyes were fixed on the camera, putting on a pitiful act in every possible way. It wasn't until the police set up the safety net that he finally pretended to jump down. I never took this farce seriously in the first place. It was pure clown behavior, but to my surprise, with the help of various marketing accounts hyping it up the next day, I actually got blasted onto the trending list. In the eyes of netizens, I became the #1 heartless woman. Labels like gold digger, social climber, and ungrateful wretch were firmly stuck to me. By the time I was ready to post a clarification and explain the situation clearly, it was already too late. None of those netizens believed what I said, and they even mocked me. "This woman just doesn't know how to repent and still wants to argue. Do you think we can't tell if the picture is photoshopped?" Exactly. Do you think everyone is a fool? If they weren't truly hurt, who would joke with their life? Someone already jumped off a building for you, and you're still lying. If you have the guts, why don't you go die too? If you die, then we'll believe you. This guy clearly looks honest. Is it easy for him to deliver food, and you still want to scam his money? Are you that desperate to survive? My phone number and address were both exposed, and I face various forms of harassment every day. Even my parents suffered as a result. Their home was splashed with red paint, and the words "death to the whole family" were written on it. My parents are now too afraid to even step outside, worried that they'll be chased and harassed the moment they leave the house. Out of desperation, I had no choice but to contact Jingdong again. "What do you actually want? How can you let our family go?" Jingdong replied instantly as always, as if he was staring at his phone waiting for me to give in. "Little sister, if you had been like this earlier, it would have been fine. My feelings for you have never changed. You know what I want / lustful." After saying that, he even sent a smug emoji of someone wearing sunglasses. I took a deep breath. I had endured so many previous instances of harassment, but this time, it affected my family, and I truly couldn't take it anymore. Since he used online weapons against me, I'll make sure he gets a taste of what it's like to be utterly disgraced. I roughly planned it out and then arranged to meet Jingdong. I planned to have a detailed discussion with him at a coffee shop, During this period, he has been leveraging his popularity to livestream and sell products, and many netizens have voluntarily donated money to him. The money he has earned has long exceeded hundreds of thousands, and he is riding high on his success, so this time he came to see me, deliberately flaunting his gold watch and gold chain. If you didn't know better, you'd think he was some upstart who came out of nowhere. I didn't dare show my disdain too obviously, so I just kept my head down and acted submissively. Then I served him a cup of coffee. Brother Dong, I was wrong. I was really wrong. All the mistakes before were mine. Please don't involve my parents. Okay, I'll accept whatever you want me to do. I can even serve you like a horse or an ox. As I spoke, my voice gradually choked up, to make him let his guard down. I deliberately dressed a bit sexier today. Jing Dong looked me up and down with a lecherous gaze, his yellowed teeth showing as he grinned. Little girl, why do you have to go through all this trouble? I told you from the start that you'd be mine sooner or later. If only you'd been more obedient. I don't have to suffer online bullying now, and my parents won't be implicated either. As he spoke, he even raised his hand trying to take advantage of me. I quickly dodged nimbly, then put on an ingratiating smile. Brother Dong, we still haven't resolved this matter yet. I've been scolded so much by everyone. Can they still forgive me? And what about my parents? Jing Dong, with a toothpick in his mouth, snorted disdainfully. That's easy. I'll just post a video saying it was all a misunderstanding. You didn't actually abandon me. You were just sick and didn't want to burden me. What we have is true love. Your parents never knew about this matter. They're innocent. When the time comes, we'll post more videos showing our affection, raise a cat or dog, and have a baby. After a while, who will even remember this trivial matter? Look at his confident and strategic expression. It doesn't seem like something his intelligence could pull off. So I turned my head and glanced at the vase in the coffee shop, then continued fishing for information. Brother Dong, you're really amazing. How did you come up with this idea? I really admire you. You actually made up a delivery guy identity and even framed the rent as money spent on me. Clearly, it's you who has been persistently pestering and harassing me. Aren't you afraid of the netizens finding out the truth? Jing Dong, with a smug look on his face, pulled me into his arms. You little minx, now you know how strong I am, don't you? Actually, this idea didn't come from me. It was all taught to me by Ping and Shilu. She said the combination of a delivery guy and a gold-digging woman would be the most sensational topic. I'll fake a suicide attempt, and then you won't be able to clear your name even if you jump into the Yellow River. This method really works. Those netizens are like fools, being led around by the nose by me. They believe whatever I say. Ha ha. As he spoke, he couldn't resist showing me his private message history with Pingon Sheila. My entire body was trembling with anger. And then I slapped him hard across the face. Shameless, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the puddle? Do you even deserve me? You're like a toad chasing a frog, ugly as sin, but full of tricks. Seeing my sudden change in expression, Jing Dong was still a bit baffled. You dare hit me? Do you believe I can have netizens tear you apart online? I sneered coldly and pulled out the phone I had hidden in the vase, which was currently live streaming. Guess who they're going to target now? After this incident, Jing Dong's reputation suffered a severe backlash. His previous stalking and harassment of me were also exposed, and many netizens condemned him, including that alternate account of his that posted a love confession in the middle of the night, which was reported and directly deleted. But just being disgraced and ruined is still too easy on him. I also handed over all those disgusting packages he originally sent me to the police. Not only are we suing him for harassment this time, but we're also charging him with intentional defamation. Just the fact that he deliberately incited online violence is enough to sentence him to 2 or 3 years in prison. Even the netizens who previously donated money for him feel deceived. They have collectively joined forces to sue him for fraud, with the amount involved reaching as high as 500,000 yuan. After an investigation, the police confirmed that the charges were valid. With multiple offenses combined, Jing Dong was directly sentenced to 15 years in prison. This time, he's really going to be locked up for good. On the day he was handcuffed, countless netizens came to check in. The red paint that was once splashed at my doorstep was now all splattered across his disgusting face. The police also looked down on Jing Dong and turned a blind eye to his actions. As for Ping and Shilu, of course, I wouldn't let her off either. I provided the police with the screenshots I had previously collected and the chat records from Jing Dong's phone. After all, Jing Dong's crimes were largely thanks to her contributions. Finally, the police tracked her down through the internet and arrested her at her home. I had imagined many times what kind of person she might be, but when I actually saw her, I couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. She looked so ordinary, with a weathered face and an out-of-shape figure, already a mother of 2 children. It is said that she was once a victim too. Her husband stalked and harassed her, got her pregnant, and she was forced into marriage, becoming a housewife. I don't understand, we've both suffered the same pain, so why does she hate me so much that she would go so far as to ruin me? But Pinyin Sheila just looked at me coldly, her face expressionless. Do you need a reason to hate someone? We are all women. Why should I have to marry a rapist? Why should I have to bear 2 children? Since I can't have a good life, then you bitches won't have one either. I shook my head. Having gone through some things is indeed terrible, but we don't necessarily have to accept our fate. We can still protect ourselves, and we can start over from the beginning. But when a person's mind is imprisoned, that's when they are truly beyond saving. Later, I also created a little red book account. Besides sharing some daily life moments, I occasionally also popularize some legal knowledge. I hope to use my words to let more people know women can also possess strength. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.